Myself, I go ice my balls and spit up blood.
Drop it!
Team player.
After all, someone has to pay for the...
And boom. Welcome, folks, to the American Movie Podcast. If you've never been here before, welcome aboard. I go through movies, news, documentaries, Netflix series, Netflix originals, and I do trailer reactions. And today I'm bringing you the documentary called The Creepy Line. Now, The Creepy Line. The Creepy Line is a reference to a Google associate or representative that says, hey, we're gonna walk up to this creepy line, but we're not gonna pass this creepy line when it comes to sharing your data or using any sort of information that you divulge into Google, whether that's metadata, whether that's you, and metadata is where you travel, who you call, at what time, your geolocation on your cell phone, all of those things. We're not gonna breach that trust. And their phrasing that they used at the very beginning of their company installation is, don't be evil. And that's very vague. And what it seems to me, and what it seems and sounds and looks like to me, is that they have all the information on everybody. This is between Google and Facebook, this documentary. So it's pretty much 50-50. And what I can see from it is that this is a policy problem where they're not being regulated as what they actually are. And because there's this Communications Act that was put in 1993, and it says, hey, if you don't do any editorial process, you're neutral, and you can't be regulated the exact same way as a media company would. It's the Communications Act. But these people do, and these algorithms do process and edit the information that's released. So that's what it seems like to me, is that they have so much data and so much processes and so much money and so much power and so much influence on our everyday lives that it just doesn't even seem fathomable that they can't have some sort of regulation. Because one instance, they represent they depict the Google search page. And I don't know when the last time you went to the second or third page of a Google results page, but man, I was probably 7 years old when I went to the second page. I was looking for a deal on crayons. And so that is a lot of power. And it represents the best result or the truth. So the very first spot on Google represents, hey, this is your best chance at, or your best set of information that's perceived anyways. And you and I may understand that, hey, these are just search results, but some people also don't, and some people take them for truths, or the first 5 are the exact same answer, and this was just curated through Google's algorithm, but it could be manipulated or it could slant in a single way. And that is something that they alluded to, and there were some studies that represented that. I'll leave that for you to decide if you watch this documentary. It seemed a little slanted to me, but I don't know. I didn't get to look at the studies. They just showed the studies on the documentary. So you'd have to look at it and look at the processes and look how they actually conducted the research of how they came to the conclusion that they can manipulate the results to skew somebody's political opinion. Basically, it's political opinion. But I do think these people, especially Facebook from the beginning has just always been, it seems like its intentions are predicated upon deceit. And it's because the very beginning there was an email, and allegedly there was an email that Mark Zuckerberg sent to a colleague or somebody that was also going to college with him, and he was saying, hey, all these people signed up for my Facebook, or the Facebook. They gave me all their information, their profiles, their names, their email addresses. What idiots. Paraphrasing here, allegedly too. But that was something that did happen. And then Google also had another circumstance with Facebook rather. Facebook had another circumstance where they had Facebook Beacon. And this just is common sense where it's like, hey, this is not a good idea. And what Facebook Beacon was it didn't ask you if you wanted to share what you were purchasing online while you were signed into Facebook. So you can already see the problems that would arise. So the story that they use is this husband, there happened to be a sale on Jared or whatever.com or whatever. I don't even know where you get wedding rings, Clydesdales.com or whatever. So he purchased a wedding ring and it was on sale and it happened to be very, very reduced down in value. And Facebook automatically shared that, and his wife found out, and all of his family and friends found out before he even got to tell his wife, and they called him and they called her, and it was just like a huge debacle that just seems unnecessary. So there's just so many circumstances where it shows just a lack of goodwill on Facebook's part. And working with Facebook myself, you can go through their ad structure and you can create ads, and there's an option where you can select if people will engage with either conservative, liberal, or moderate articles. That seems very, very just deceitful or problematic. So if you create either fake stories or something like that and then target liberal people, then they're obviously going to engage with this content, or conservative people if it's the other way. And it's just, there are certain setups and structures that policymakers just don't know. They just don't understand. They're way too behind, and they're just slowly accruing all of this data and cross-referencing it with public records, and just getting this personalized avatar of yourself and who you come in contact with and where you buy stuff and where you go, where you work. All of this private information is just stored, collected, and then sold and used against you via third parties. And it may not be you, but across large populations, folks, like 300 million people, odds are there's people that are either they have two jobs, they have no idea what information they're about to take in, and they don't have time to take in this information. So they go, they do the best that they can. They spend 10, maybe an hour researching, but that's all they have. And then they are swayed a certain way or impressed a certain way, either by these Facebook algorithms or these deceitful Facebook practices, or this huge influence through Google search. So this was a crazy documentary, and it's I read a consultant's book, Zucked. That was an amazing book, and this was similar along those lines. It's just like these things are these huge entities that can touch pretty much the entire planet that's connected to the internet, can be influenced. They can influence that group of people, and that's like 4 billion people are hooked up to the internet, or maybe half, 3 billion maybe. But yeah, they're just too big, or at least regulate them as if they were something else, because they're not. They're not neutral. It's just blatantly obvious that they're not neutral. They can't be. It's impossible to be neutral, especially when it's a media company. There is some sort of bias because people are behind the media company. So that was the creepy line, man. There was so much great information inside this book. And Jordan Peterson, I don't know if you're a big fan of Jordan Peterson or you know Jordan Peterson at all, but he's a famous intellectual now, and he was throughout this documentary as well. It was a good documentary. It put forth a lot of just good questions, and yeah, I would check it out. It's available on Amazon Prime. And if not, I think you can purchase it on iTunes. You could probably rent it too on iTunes or rent it on Amazon too. But you have to know somebody that has an Amazon account, and so check it out. It's only in about an hour and a half, and it's really crazy. I can't recommend that enough. It's a lot of good. It'll catch you up to speed on pretty much the deceitful practices that they're putting in place to manipulate or sell your information for monetary gain. So, thank you so much. Do not forget to subscribe. I'm going to go through as many books, documentaries, movies as possible. Don't forget to review us on iTunes. That helps greatly. If you want to start your own podcast, go to socialcreative.org/podcast. I created the podcast publisher. It's $3.99. It's all the information you would ever need to get your podcast up and running. It's a one-time purchase, not a subscription or anything. So Check that out. Also brought to you by audible.com. You get a free audiobook. And you get the service for free for a month, and you can cancel it at any time, and you still get to keep the book. So that's amazing too. I'm a big fan of Audible. I was just listening to Hacking Darwin, which I'll be reviewing here shortly. So thank you so much, folks. Matthew Benjamin with the American Movie Podcast. Until next time, be good, stay safe, never give up. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye-bye-bye-bye.
After all, someone has to pay for the lap dances for the big guy.
He's joking around. Who feels so good when he jokes?
What's this company called?
Oh,
Shirts and Pants. Holy Shirts and Pants.